So I'm here again. This is number 2 video in what I believe will be a 7-part video session or series. So yesterday we talked about letting yourself just write anything that's coming out. That's called flow writing. Just let that stream of consciousness happen. And that's not the only thing we're going to talk about in these videos is writing, but writing is what's going to get us into our tada. The tada is the juice inside of us. The tada is the light inside of us. Tada is that life force that just never ceases. You know, when that first heartbeat starts happening in the very beginning of our existence, that's full of energy, and that energy is us. In my spiritual belief, I believe that is the benevolent force that is bigger and larger than all of us. It moves through us, it moves as us. You know what I like to think about is that we are the hands, the legs, the actions, the heart of whatever the God energy is, the divine energy is. I don't care what you call it. I think it's really important that you call it something that feels comfortable for you. But whatever it is, it's inside of you, as you. And the more we get in touch with this, the more we have the conversation with ourselves, the more alive to our own fabulousness we can become. I wanted to be very transparent and let you know that anything I'm doing in this series, there's been lots of books written about the stuff that I'm talking about. What I have to offer you is just years and years of reading those books so I can give you the cliff notes and you don't have to read it. I used to think you're supposed to do a diary, and a diary meant like, you know, today at 8 o'clock I had scrambled eggs. Well, I mean, that is not something I want to do. That's not a place I want to go. I could care less about that. But when I started learning things like writing a letter to God, or letting the thoughts that go round and round in my head just come out on the paper, or dumping the fear or the sadness or the hurt or the ambitions or the goals down on paper, that started to become really valuable for me. For today's session, what I wanted to tell you is that in Life's Companion, one of the things that Christine Baldwin talks about is that there's basically 4 kinds of journaling, 4 kinds of personal writing. They're either a dialogue where you talk back and forth with some part of yourself, or you talk to someone else and you imagine what their answers will be, or really cool, and we're going to do that in another day, not this session. Another one is flow, where you just write whatever's in your head, you know, what I tried to do with you on the last video. A third one is questions, asking yourself questions. The fourth one is to send letters to someone. Not letters that you're going to mail, but you write letters. I do that a lot. I write letters to God on a regular basis. I have a hard time using the word God because I feel like religion and so many organizations have kind of held the word God hostage and have defined it. I think one of the things that, I know one of the things that the journaling has done for me is let me define whatever this higher power is for myself. And that's the voice that I'm speaking to inside here. That's the tada. That's, some might call it soul, some might call it essence, but that's who I'm having the conversation with. Anyway, today's session is going to be on questions. A long time ago, before I did my books, I heard this woman on NPR, and I wish I could remember her name. It was an author. And she said, writers don't write because they have the answers. Writers write because they have the questions. Questions are what motivate us. Questions are what make us go inside. You can't be on this planet, live in this life, walk in this journey without asking yourself some questions. Or you're dead inside. There are questions coming up all the time. So for today's prompt, what I want you to think about with your blank paper, hopefully, what I want you to think about is, what question am I asking right now in my life? What question am I asking? What's the first thought that comes up when I say that to you? That's how I began my first book, Not Like My Mother. I was asked to do this in a statistics class in grad school, and he said, ask yourself a question or use a question for your statistics paper that you're always asking yourself. And my first thought was parenting. When is the frickin' job done? I was so sick of not being able to get along with my adult daughters. I felt like we were always butting heads. I had just had an argument with one that morning. And, it was me and my stuff and my crap. And that was the question I started writing on. And from that, about 5 years later, my first book came out. That's not what journals are about. Journals aren't about you writing a book. I mean, that could possibly happen, but for God's sakes, do not put that pressure on yourself. Journaling is about having a continuing conversation with yourself. It's about developing an interior life. So I'm going to ask you right now to think about, what question are you asking yourself in your life right now? Ready, set. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to write, and then I'm going to interrupt you with another question. Okay? Go. Okay, so you wrote a little bit. Me, I got about I don't know, like a paragraph and a half. So what I got was, I'm wondering, like right now, what's the question I'm asking just in this very moment? I'm wondering who's listening to this video. Who am I connecting with? How are we alike? What connects us? What is that energy? What is the it? What is the it that holds us together? And then I went to this place of, I have to say love because hate seems to separate us. And then as I was writing that, I was thinking, well, people can gather together to hate the same thing. That can be the focus. But there's definitely going to be a division. There has to be an other if I'm hating. So I was starting to go down that road. I don't know what road you're going down. It could be, whatever. It could be as simple as, what am I going to have for dinner tonight? And why do I want to have that? And why do I always have to be the one to cook? The questions will ask more questions, will ask more questions. So now what I want you to do is to look at what you just wrote and then ask yourself, what question did I not answer? What question did I not ask myself? All right, because there's questions we avoid. So what questions did I not ask myself, or did I not let myself look at? Just a wondering. Go ahead. Okay, begin to wrap it up. So where I went was, I didn't want to, what question didn't I look at? Or because we're always making choices with the writing. We go down one road or another road. I teach that in proprioceptive writing. I didn't want to look at hate, the hate question. Maybe hate does connect. Certainly it does for bonding groups together. Maybe a bigger question is what sustains us for length of time? What holds us together that keeps us together? And then I started to think about what's held me in 12-step fellowships or my marriage of 47 years. And what I realized is something that causes me to grow. When I'm in something that causes me to grow, that I feel I become more of who I'm meant to be, then I stay. When I feel like we're doing the same old, then I leave. That's what's kept me journaling for, so many years. 36, 37, I'm not sure, 40. But because I've grown through it. And I want more than anything for you to grow through it yourself. I want you to find this companion that I so love for me. So I look forward to seeing you the next time.